Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Let me see who is here. Mark, you still here? Hey, Jenny May. Jennifer. Who is the lurker? It's probably me, Jenny. Because I have I have the chat on my phone. Because there's no point in looking at the StreamYard chat. It just is. It doesn't even move. So I gave up on it. Hey, Christy. Lily Rose. Hi, everyone. I'm on my second channel. YouTube suspended this one, but found no violation of their guidelines. Oh, hey, Red. Did I know that you had a channel? And I'm sorry. That sucks. Yeah. It's happening. Oh yeah, Mark, when is this info coming out? I almost don't even want to go there. It's one, I shouldn't have to, but two, I want to cover it just because it's important as far as misinformation goes. And again, it could very well be her, but it's saying 99% proof is pretty pretty certain without, more evidence. Hey, Kane. Hey, ENA Mom. Hello, Crystal. Nice to see you all. Thank you for being here. Shani. Glad you can make it. Hey, Robbie. That's right. That's right, Red. I do remember that. I'm sorry. I was funny because I was asking Larry a lot of questions. I ask a lot of people a lot of questions. And they better be prepared to answer them. That's all I got to say. Hey, weirdo. Oh my gosh, it's so windy here again. It's insane. We never get wind here except for like kite flying season, which is like, I don't know, probably around this time or April, but you couldn't fly a kite in this wind. You get carried away. I don't know. I'm thinking that maybe I was wrong about the whole saying boobs in the chat thing because um, I think it was Callie Cat. She was in Chan's live today, and she said she spelled boobs, and Google didn't um, delete it. So I'm thinking maybe it was the moderator, and they just didn't want to own up to it. for deleting my comment. That's what I'm gonna do if I'm moderating on someone's channel. I'm just gonna if I delete a comment and they say, "Why are my comments getting deleted?" I'm like, "Oh, it's probably Google moderator. They've been doing that lately. Just blame it on Google every time, so I don't look like the bad guy." Hey, Amy. Yeah, I'm live. I think. Oh, nice, Mark. Yeah, it. Well, hopefully it doesn't get too hot too soon for you. Yeah, Mark. Fun bags are much better. Every time I say that, it reminds me of Dumb and Dumber. He's like, "Look at the fun bags on that hose hound." So funny. That's one of my favorite movies ever. Ever, ever. So I told everybody in the chat last night that I was going to give a heads up on YouTube that I'm going to do a live stream on DLive. That way I can, hopefully, without any repercussions, discuss my theory even more and not have to worry about walking on eggshells. I still kind of do worry about that when I'm over on DLive just because of the censorship that's been happening over there. But still not as worried over there as I am over here. So yeah, I know, Red. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether they call you Red or Lily. Lily Rose. I like that name, by the way. It's very pretty. I don't know why you're having a difficult time with DLive. I mean, it is glitchy sometimes, but I don't know. There's a couple people that have told me they've had kind of a hard time signing up and stuff. So, and that's okay. You know, like I said, I don't expect people to go over there, or I'm not going to get mad about it at all. It's just, again, if people want to hear more of my theory without having to speak in code, then that's the best place to be as of now. Hey, stop that. That's funny. Hey, stop that. Okay, Red, no problem. I just appreciate you trying. It's really windy there too, Kane. Crystal, I put my link to my DLive page in the description of this video, of this live stream. If you click on that, I don't know if you're signed in like through the app or if you use like desktop, like browser. But if you're using browser or a browser, you can just click on the link and it should take you right to my channel. So, and DLive's cool. It's really cool because in Chan Camps over there, she has a channel over there, and we have fun over there because as of now, you can still play music videos without having to worry about copyright. I'm sure that's going to change eventually. I just don't know when. So a lot of the streamers they'll just play like 24/7, like music concerts or just techno music or something. I don't know. Like, so you just have a lot more freedom over there. DLive Kane is just another streaming platform. It originally started as, I mean, I guess it still is, but it was started for gamers to stream. But then a lot of the like truther channels started going over to DLive because of the censorship here on YouTube. So thank you, Shani, for putting my link in the chat. Drop your DLive link too if you want, Chan. So yeah, like a lot of times if Shan and I aren't playing games on her streams, we'll just play funny videos or just anything random, music videos. So needless to say, as far as my channel goes and her channel goes, it's a wide variety of different content. It's not just one specific thing that we do on our stream. So it's kind of cool. It's a lot different. I mean, it's not a lot different. It's just the vibe over there is different compared to YouTube. It's smaller. There's not so many people. So it's different. It's cool for now. Um, before I went live, I was trying to edit that picture of that woman in the grocery store parking lot because, and again, I don't feel like I should have to like do this, but it's just, I mean, I gave up on trying to debunk things a long time ago because it was too many, and I would never, I'd be busy trying to debunk videos all the time or creators, and I wouldn't be concentrating on what I'm here for. It would just, and there's no point, in my opinion. But um, so I was drawing on her and stuff, but I'm like, you know what? Not a big deal. I might show it on DLive. I don't really feel comfortable again showing that picture of her on here. Um, and at least over there, I can say boobs. Except you can't say Clark Gable for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's very strange, but if you try to write Clark Gable in the chat, it'll say filtered uh, filtered word, and then it won't put it in the chat. It's so we have to respell it all the time. It's kind of funny, but very strange at the same time. Hey, Emily Well. So I have a question for you guys. I'm sure you've heard of the all of the privacy claims that Unjustified just received from YouTube on several of her videos. Does anybody know if any other channel creators have received the same privacy claims for, showing the discovery or anything in any of their videos, or is it just Unjustified as far as you guys know? Hey Dave, how are you? Um, oh, you're gonna get a new computer, Dave? That's awesome. Do you know what kind yet? Or a laptop, or are you gonna get like a desktop? See, I ask a lot of questions, Mark. I'm like, what are you gonna get? What color are you gonna get? But where was that comment? Oh, Dr. B, and so only Dr. B and Unjustified, as far as you know. And I don't know why I'm looking at the StreamYard chat because it's so delayed. And did Dr. B get a lot, Dave? Like as many as Unjustified? So there could be more, but we haven't heard about it. So I'm just asking because I went and I watched Unjustified's video about the false privacy claims that she got on her videos. And the screenshots that she showed, or the video, that she showed at the timestamps that they said, it was the first one was Shanann. It showed Shanann's email address, and then it showed her the Lexus SUV, her license plate number. The next one, what was the next one? I think it was Shanann's email again, and then maybe her like Apple Watch ID or something. And then the next one was for the HOA company, a piece of paper that had the information of an employee that worked for the HOA company, their name and their address, or their email address and phone number. So, I'm not their personal phone number, but their work phone number. But so what I'm thinking is that Google is going, or YouTube's going after Unjustified for showing the email addresses and obviously the name of the person at the HOA company. Now, she got 61 of them. She only showed a couple on that video. I don't know what the rest of them were for. I know that a few of them were videos that have been deleted or removed by YouTube, but from as far as I can tell, that's what I believe is why she's getting those privacy claims. Can you say Kessinger, Mark? Why? Yeah, of course you can. Why not? Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but I've said it in a few of my live streams when I was talking to you guys about oh my gosh, it just scared me. My cat just sneezed and I was like, I jumped. Are you okay, little babies? You okay? Bless you. You okay? Okay, go back to sleep. Oh my God, it scared me. So I was in a couple of my live streams, I was telling you guys about how I believe that one of the agendas or motives for this case is to take away free speech from social media, meaning no more independent journalists, no more just in general armchair detectives, not one specifically, from social media. So the only thing that's going to be left is mainstream media videos. So your Fox and your Dateline or your Dr. Phil's or your, stuff like that. So, no more Megan J's and no more Dr. B's and no more Unjustified, yada, yada. And in those live streams, I told you guys that sooner or later, I'm not sure when, but eventually there's going to be no more Watts videos or hardly any Watts videos left on YouTube. I don't know about like Facebook and stuff like that, but as far as YouTube goes, the only ones that are going to be left, again, are going to be the mainstream ones or the ones that fit the official narrative. And maybe not even those. And I came to that conclusion not only because one of how the Ruseks have been acting, right? And how Frank Rusek stood in front of the Watts home and started, doing the blame game on Google and Twitter and saying, we tried to contact Google, we tried to contact Twitter and Facebook about this victim blaming, or the victim blaming and the victim harassment and the death threats, right? You guys remember that press conference or whatever it's called that he did. I don't know what it's called, news conference. Anyway, he stood in front of the Watts home and started doing the blame game at these big social media companies, right? Saying that they've tried to contact them with, themselves and also their lawyers, and, none of them responded. So here's Frank Rusek standing up there again saying that these big companies are not doing anything about this harassment, right? And when I saw that, I immediately thought to myself that they're trying to take away free speech. So they're doing like not a reverse psychology, but it's like I don't know what the technical term for it is, but even though that like Frank Sr.'s he's making at that moment, he's making these big companies look bad, right? And pointing a finger at them. There's an agenda behind it. That agenda is, again, to take away free speech. So when people who are affected by this, for ones that are affected by this case, hey, Antoine, they will, they're so emotionally invested, they're upset, and when they hear that these innocent victims, right, or family members are being treated the way they are, death threats, harassment, and then when they are watching it and they hear, and they hear out of his mouth that these big major companies are not doing anything about it, about the harassment of these victims, what do people do as like a natural reaction when you're already upset and, emotionally invested in this case because of the deaths, right? And now these allegedly these big companies are not doing what they need to do to stop this harassment towards these victims. So naturally, people are going to get upset. They're going to say, do something about it, Google, do something about it, Facebook, do something about it, Twitter. This needs to stop. There's no excuse for it. Why are you allowing this victim bashing and harassment and death threats, even though there's no evidence to prove that these victims are getting death threats or harassment? So what are you going to do about it? And how are you going to stop this harassment on your platforms? And that's when that Hegelian dialectic comes in, right? That you probably heard me mention a lot lately. And if you're new to my channel or you haven't heard me talk about the Hegelian dialectic, it's something that the powers that be use all the time, and they use it in these events a lot. And it's actually quite brilliant. So with the Hegelian dialectic, the powers that be or the government will create a problem. So whether it be, like a terrorist attack or just whatever, it's any tragic event. So they'll create that problem, and then we, the public, will then react to that problem and say, do something about it. Like, because that's what they're there for, right? The government, they're there to protect us. Do something about it. And we don't think logically because we're upset and we're emotional. We don't think logically, we just react. Do something about all these tragic things happening, right? Not knowing that they were the ones who actually created it in the first place. And so what happens is we are essentially just begging for our rights to be taken away. And now, although these the people that are asking for something to be done, they think that they're doing the right thing for society, right? Stopping the shooting, stopping the harassment. But they're actually doing more harm because they're just asking for our rights to get taken away. Does that make sense? So they create the problem. We then react to the problem and say, do something about it, not knowing that they were the ones who created the problem in the first place. And then you have your solution, which is like pew, pew, pew control, right? Because I'm not allowed to say that 3-letter word. That's how bad it is. So the Hegelian dialectic comes into play in this situation as far as what Frank Rusek was doing. So when he was up there pointing the fingers, the blame game, right, at these big social media platform streaming companies by saying, you're not doing anything about my family being harassed, right? And then, so there is the creating of the problem, right? All the harassment, nothing's being done about it. Then that's when you get the reaction. Do something, Google, do something, Twitter, do something, Facebook. This harassment of victims and bullying and death threats need to stop. So what do? We turn to the ones that are creating the problem to fix it, right? Not knowing that they're the ones that are causing all of it. And then boom, here comes the solution. Censorship, free speech from social media. So that's one reason why I think that they are attempting to do that. Take away our free speech on social media. And not only that, but they've been doing it for a while now. But now they're not just going after content creators like myself, but now they're going after you guys, the viewers. As you can see, we have a Google moderator censoring certain things that we say. And another reason why I believe that they're doing that is because I've seen it happen in another event. Hey, Tech. Hey, Dave. I've seen it happen in another event, okay? Prior to this one that I talked about last night, that I've talked about several times. In this other event, they released the case. It's not called a discovery. It's it's like a report. I don't want to like say the actual name of it because it's algorithms, but they released, the case information, the body cam footage, the interviews, police officer interviews, witness interviews, halfway completed autopsy reports, right? Destroyed evidence, missing evidence, things that don't add up in the autopsies, staged crime scenes, right? Where it looks like things are planted all over the place. How the sheet at Survey 319 is like just right there out in the open, and then you have the rake sticking out of the ground. Like, here, come here, guys, it's right here. Here's where I buried my wife, right? That way there's no confusion, and it leads, law enforcement right to it. And Chris just happens to be not so smart, even though we're supposed to believe he's got a 140 IQ, but he leaves a rake, handle sticking out of the ground and a sheet and plastic bags. It's ridiculous. Same with the other event. Certain things that I cannot say were scattered all around the crime scene, just like in the Watts case and Server 319. Because everybody always says, why would Chris leave the rake out there? Why would he leave the sheet sitting out there? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. That's so stupid. But with this other case prior to the Watts case, again, they released all of this information and didn't redact anybody's personal information. Then, after it was, online, available for everybody to go and download, and same thing with the Watts case, same thing with the discovery. You could go to a website, download it, study it, do whatever you want with it. A year or so later, right? People start noticing that they're going in to that case report and redacting information that they didn't redact in the first place and was unredacted for over a year. A little bit here, they might take out something there, redact more here, and it just keeps getting black, black, black as time goes on. I haven't checked the Watts case discovery in a while, and I'm sure that there's more black bars on there. Or you'll notice if you've ever been to the files that Dr. B got, redacted, right? Why redact it now, a year later, 2 years later, when you didn't bother to redact it when you released it for a whole year and a half? And now you're going to go in and just, secretly and just all sneaky try to just redact stuff? Like, we're not going to remember that it wasn't redacted? So, just more similarities to these two events, even though they're two completely different events, both tragic by all means, but same red flag, same characteristics that I've been trying to tell you guys about. And then as time went on, slowly but surely, we started to see, because people were covering the case just like we've been doing for 2 years, right? Trying to dissect this case, trying to figure out why this person did what they did, and commit such a horrific act, right? Because what did they do in the other case? Law enforcement left us with more questions than answers. Many holes in the narrative. Nothing adds up. So much missing. There's no background story to any of the people that are the main parties involved. The mistress falling off the face of the earth. The girlfriend falling off the face of the earth. Not investigated. Not investigated. Shoddy investigating. But slowly but surely, these videos of channel creators that were making videos trying to figure out that case and dissect it, because they were left with so many unanswered questions that law enforcement wasn't going to answer clearly. There's still people to this day trying to file FOIA requests for that case, and they're getting denied because they never came out and answered any of the questions that they left people with, right? So for over a year, and still to this day, people are trying to figure out what the hell happened, like I said. But there's been so many channel creators that have covered that case that have been had to start multiple channels again. You can't find hardly any, and I know that I'm not being like transparent right now, but that's like one of those no events that you're not allowed to talk about on this platform, and many others. But if you try and I could probably talk about it more on DLive, and if I get a slap on the hand, then oh well. But if you try to go and look up videos, like not mainstream media videos, but from independent journalists or just anybody trying to figure out what the hell happened, you can't. They're gone, scrubbed. Do you know who's responsible for that? One company or organization, the Honor Network. You guys aren't familiar with the Honor Network. The Honor Network was started by a gentleman whose child allegedly lost his life in a horrific, tragic event. And the Honor Network sole purpose is to, or organization, no, it's, yeah. Honor Network organization. Anyways, don't let the honor part fool you. What they do is they have like 300 or 400 volunteers that go around social media, seek out any channel creators or videos that are going against the official narrative of these tragic events. And mind you, tragic events that have many holes in their narrative. And I have to make that clear again for, certain individuals that are going to be like, so you just think that every, tragic event? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the ones that have holes in their narrative that don't add up. And then when there's more questions than answers, those are the ones that I'm questioning. So they have 300, 400 volunteers that, like I said, go around social media, seek out these conspiracy channels, the ones going against the official narrative. They say, hey, over here, got one over here for you. So, the other 399 volunteers, or 299, I don't know, it says 300 to 400 on their website, follow over there and mass flag these videos so that they get taken down, because they know that if you just, flag a video here, flag a video there, nothing's going to happen. So they mass flag these channel creators that are questioning these tragic events. Now they claim it's because they're trying to prevent victim blaming and victim harassment, but what is questioning a narrative that has many holes in it? How is that harassment or victim blaming or hate speech, right? So the Honor Network is the ones that are responsible for scrubbing all of this information off the internet that I wanted to be able to show you, to show you guys that it's happening and there's other events and it's not just this one, and that there's other people talking about it and not just me. But I can't because they've been scrubbed. I mean, you could probably dig for them. You could probably find them on somewhere. They scrub conspiracy theories and conspiracy channels or anybody that's going against the official narrative of these tragic events that don't add up. So my point that I'm trying to make is that I've seen it happen with that other case, how they slowly started redacting the case files after they didn't bother to do it for the whole first year, right? When they released it. And then slowly they were taking down all of these videos on YouTube of, channel creators trying to figure out what the hell happened, just like we're doing. So now, now you have, Unjustified and Dr. B being given privacy claims for something that Weld County didn't bother to redact in the first place. So if anything, it's Weld County's fault. And why now? Why after over 2.5 years? So slowly but surely, I mean, this is just what I'm seeing. I don't know for sure. But like I said, I've seen it happen with that other case. Until eventually there was none left except for mainstream media coverage. Or, like Dr. Phil and stuff like that. And that's what I said, in a couple of my live streams a couple months ago, or I don't remember when it was, but that as time goes on, and before you know it, there's not going to be any more Watts videos left. Because I don't know why they do it, but I've just seen it happen, and I don't have exact proof. I just, like I said, I go with the patterns. I tried to make my video, or I was doing trying to find content for it to compare this case with the other case that I'm talking about. I had the most difficult time trying to find information on it or videos because it's all been scrubbed. So in my opinion, and as far as I'm seeing, that's what they're starting to do with these privacy claims, which is ridiculous. Like I said, because there's how many people have made videos with all of this information exposed for 2.5 years? It's ridiculous. But if you'll notice, there's some videos of Unjustifieds where they have just removed it entirely. And I think I remember her saying that she can't appeal those. I don't know if I heard her correctly or not, but I don't think that she can get those ones back. Or if she can, it'll be a while. So there's a few of her videos. And then Dr. B probably got a couple of hers taken down. Do you see where I'm going with this? So it's and then who's next? Then there's going to be a few of their videos taken down. So they're not going to take them away, take it all the way at one time, because that wouldn't work, right? It'd be too obvious. So slowly but surely, they're going to start removing channel creators' content on the Watts case, because I've seen it happen before. So give it time. And eventually there's not going to be any independent channel creator Watts videos left, or they're going to be very, very slim. And then they hit Unjustified with what, 64? 64. That's a lot at one time. And not only that, but she mentioned that she put a lot of her videos to private or unlisted. But the problem with that, YouTube can still strike you or give you a copyright claim or privacy claim, even if your videos are unlisted or set to private. So the best thing to do is if you don't want to lose your content, download your videos, save them to your computer, and try a different streaming platform, because the censorship here is just going to get worse and worse. Now, of course, it's going to be fine for your makeup channels, which I like makeup channels. Nothing wrong with that. And your, I don't know, cooking channels or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to say that those aren't good channels. I'm just saying that those aren't any of the channels that are going to be affected by this censorship. It's going to be the ones that are truth channels, ones that are looking for the truth, ones that are questioning things, right? That they don't want you to question, like this case. Because now it's been over 2.5 years, so they've pushed their agendas on us, right? Hey, Swamp Lover. Hey, Callie. Hey, Dixie. Did I say hi to you, Dixie? Hello, everybody that just came in. Mic dropping. Because they don't want us questioning these tragic events, you guys. Why do you think that it's in their guidelines? And it doesn't make sense. Why can't you question a tragic event that has holes in the narrative that don't add up clearly? Nobody's questioning, as far as I know, or at least I'm not, these homicide cases or any other, tragic events where their narrative fits, where there's no holes in it. We're questioning the ones that don't add up and have all the inconsistencies. So do we not have a right to do that? Because it doesn't seem that way. And the fact that they put that specific example, not once, but twice into their guidelines should be very telling. Because to me, if people are trying so hard, like this Honor Network and YouTube, if they're trying so hard and just trying to censor people, why? If someone's trying that hard to shut you up, you really, really have to ask yourself why. Why are they going to so much trouble to do that? And again, it's not in their guidelines that you can't accuse someone of murder. Like I said, I've said this several times. It's not in the guidelines or stated as an example that you can't accuse anybody of being an accomplice to murder. It doesn't say that you can't accuse anybody of, or in these tragic events, right? You can't accuse anybody of poisoning someone in this tragic event or whatever, you name it. But what's in those guidelines is you're not allowed to question the authenticity. Now, this is not word for word on their guidelines, but this is the word that I've decided to use so that the algorithms don't pick it up. One of many. So in their guidelines, you are not allowed to question the authenticity of a tragic event. And that's why it's been so difficult for me here on YouTube to get my theory out there at all. Because, one, when I do talk about it, I immediately get attacked, or anybody else who tries to say anything about it. That's why a lot of people don't speak up, because they immediately get attacked and called a terrible person and a piece of shit. And how dare you? And I'm not even accusing anybody of murder, and I'm getting attacked. And I'm not saying that like all these channels are accusing anybody of murder. I'm just using an example, so I don't want you guys to think that. But it's difficult for me to, go on other panels or go on other channels because I don't want to. I'm already risking losing, getting a strike and jeopardizing my channel. So why would I go on somebody else's platform? Even though if they do invite me, I'm humbled and I would love to go up there and talk about my theory on this case. But if I do that, I'd be doing what I'm doing now, trying to like figure out a different way to word stuff, and people are like probably like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, she's all over the place. Because I'd be nervous that I'm going to say something wrong and jeopardize that channel creator whose panel I'm on, right? And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to jeopardize somebody else's channel, especially since they work so hard to get it to that point. So that's my struggles that I deal with this case. And then on top of that, you have the guidelines. Because YouTube knows that if they put it in their guidelines, they know that these other channel creators, especially ones that have a lot of subs, right? 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever. Like, they know that they're not going to want to jeopardize losing their channel, one, and two, a lot of them are monetized. They get the super chats, and that's how they, that's their income for a lot of channel creators. And YouTube knows that they're not going to want to risk losing their channel. So they're not going to, if they put it in their guidelines, that's their way of censoring people to not talk about these inconsistencies and to get the truth out there. And that's exactly what I'm dealing with right now, even though my channel is very small. But again, I can't go and like promote my channel on other channels like these other creators can do. I can't. And it sucks, but I can't. I mean, I could, but I respect people, and that's just the kind of person I am. So that's all I have to say about that. Let me look at the chat. Because I would love to come out and say, this is what I think happened. This is what I know happened. Or this is what I think happened with Shan. This is what I think happened with the girls. But I can't because it's literally stated in the guidelines. And I've tried to find a way to even reword it, but it's difficult for some reason. And it's just a couple of words. So, I've had to change up words like, use authenticity and realistic and replace it for another word. By saying it's not realistic. It's not real life. It's, what else did I say? Oh, I had to reword a couple times. What did I say? Oh, the target practice shooting at educational facilities of smaller individuals. I literally had to do that in a live stream because if I stated it the way I wanted to or said it, algorithms would pick it up. And maybe, it's a good thing that my channel is small. I don't know how specifically the algorithms work, but I do know that when you're on a live stream, you're risking more by talking about that kind of stuff compared to making a video on it. I mean, you guys get what I'm saying? You guys like see what I'm having to deal with? Target practice at a educational facility for I don't even remember what I said, like smaller individuals. When I could have just said it the normal way, which I can't say right now. So that's how bad it is. There's a channel creator that I follow a lot, and for a while now, he's too afraid to say GUN. And on DLive, too afraid, in fear of having his channel taken or getting a strike. A simple 3-letter word that's a very, very common object in this world, that if you say it, no matter what context it's in, it's going to trigger those algorithms. That's how bad it is. And I'm not over exaggerating. And the problem with, my theory is that for some reason, the majority of people, they don't want to go there. They don't want to even think that, our government might potentially be corrupt or might not be actually there to protect us like they say they do or are, right? They want to be in their safe bubble. They just want to, finish out their lives, take care of their families. They don't want to even think about it. So they will, have that cognitive dissonance, and they'll make up it doesn't matter how much evidence you show them, how much facts or proof, they will make up every excuse in the book, then go there and want to know that, that this world we live in is pretty fucked up. I mean, look around at everything that's going on. And yes, I said the F word. And that's why they make these events so horrific. So even if it's sometimes too impossible to believe that something like this could happen, right? They do that on purpose and make it horrific, the most horrific as possible, so that people just react with their emotions and they don't think logically. They just say, oh my God, that's horrible. How could this man do this to his pregnant wife and his 2 baby girls, and his unborn son, right? Even though, you have the, he doesn't fit the profile. He never showed any violent tendencies, which is done on purpose, by the way. And I talked about this last night, but, and that's why, people are like, I don't understand. How could someone like Chris Watts do this? Everybody had so much, they didn't have anything bad to say about the guy, right? Great husband, great son, great brother, great yada yada, employee. Wouldn't hurt a fly. Nobody that interviewed in this narrative had one bad thing to say about the guy. And it's done that way on purpose. And then if you'll notice that a lot of these people that were involved in the case, like the friends, they say, oh no, he would never hurt a fly. He's a great friend. He's just, a little quiet, but great father. Just, I can't see him. No, there's no way. But then right when the whole thing comes out, everybody that just got done saying how great of a guy he was immediately turned on him, saying, I can't believe that he would do this. I can't believe that. Yeah, I just, or, even Frankie Rusak, Jr. said, oh, we knew he was guilty when we heard that he backed his truck into the driveway. Really? Because I remember you specifically saying that he's a great brother-in-law and a great husband, and you just love him like your own son, right? Says Sandy Rusek and Frank Rusek. But then on Dr. Phil, they say, oh, yeah, we knew he was guilty when he backed his truck into the driveway. Really? So this man, that's a grown man, is not allowed to back his own truck into the driveway without being accused of murder or doing something nefarious to his family? Because, like I said, I just got done hearing you say that you love him like your own son, right? But then, nope, when he backed that truck into the driveway and he was carrying his tools out, and Nate said that it was weird, we immediately knew he was guilty. Come on. But a lot of times in these events, they will not fit the profile on purpose. The reason for that is because they're trying to, whoever the person is, whatever, race, they're trying to demonize that person. So they're trying to demonize the middle class white male. Again, it's not like he had drug problems. It's not like he came from a poor childhood. He was raised in a loving family, right? Great childhood. Didn't show any signs of mental illness that would give us some sort of reason as to why he would commit or do such a thing that he allegedly did, right? And that's why all of the people involved in this case said he was such a great guy. Because they want people to be in fear. And I know that I've said this many times. If you come to my live streams a lot or you've been following me, but I don't know how many times I hear that people say that he didn't fit the profile. I don't understand. How could Chris Watts do something like this? Because it was done that way on purpose. Another one of those agendas that I talk about in this case. So they want people to be in fear. And the best way to control people is with fear. They want people to constantly be in fear. They want people to think that if somebody like Christopher Watts can just up in one day murder his entire family with no actual motive given to us, clear motive, right? We had the little pieces here and there, right? Like the bankruptcy, the medical debt, the medical bill debt, the mistress, obviously. We know that there's been signs in Shanann's videos where she was kind of degrading towards him. Do this, do that. That would give us, a hint of a motive as far as he was just fed up and just bottled everything inside, right? But Rourke, law enforcement, never gave us an actual motive. And they also didn't ask him. They didn't bother to ask Chris why he did what he did, because he didn't have to give a factual basis for the crime or crimes that he committed, which is stated in the Colorado Revised Statutes. A defendant must give a factual basis for the crimes at which they committed. The factual basis is there for a reason, so that, one, it prevents prosecutorial misconduct, and two, it prevents people from pleading guilty to something that they didn't do and sending innocent people to prison, right? Because if they would have, it doesn't, when, they ask, a defendant why they did what they did with the factual basis, he could 100% make shit up and say whatever he wanted to, right? But that's why the trial judge is supposed to compare the defendant's statement to the shoot, what's it called? It's like not the case file, but the the evidence that they compile, the prosecution and stuff. It'll come to me. But he's supposed to compare the trial judge or the judge on the case is supposed to compare the factual basis to the evidence presented to him from both sides. And if they don't match up, he can deny that plea deal and force it to go to trial, or force them to provide more evidence that aligns with what this defendant is saying. But they didn't bother to do that. They just completely left it out. And it's done that way on purpose. Because they don't want to give us a motive. They want us to try and figure out why Chris did what he did. Get into his head. How could somebody like Chris do this to his family, right? Everybody wants to know that because law enforcement never gave us a definitive motive. Same thing with the case that I was it's crazy, but I'm telling you, they're twins. Same thing with the other case I was talking about a little bit ago. They never gave it the FBI, as well as law enforcement that was covering the case, never gave us a actual motive as to why that person did what he did. And again, it's done on purpose. We waited a whole year expecting that the FBI was going to they were going to give us this huge, because they were compiling, they told us the FBI was going to do their own separate report, right? On the entire thing. I think we waited like 11, 12 months. 3 pages was the FBI report on that case, on one of the biggest tragic events in history. 3 pages and no motive in those 3 pages. Still, oh, we can't find a motive. We can't find an actual motive. It's done on purpose. So back to what I was saying, they want people to be in fear. They don't want these people involved in these cases to fit the profile. Because they want people to think that if someone like Chris can murder his entire family, then what's stopping their husband or their significant other who they trust to protect them from doing the same thing to them? They want people to constantly be in fear all the time. They want people to think that it's not just criminals and people with mental illness or psychopaths that kill people, right? They want us to believe that your everyday average person like Chris Watts, who was a great father, loving husband, can also do that. Now, is it possible? Yes. But it doesn't happen a lot, right? Not like this. And especially with no motive. You get what I'm saying? And not to bring a American Horror Story into this, but I get and I don't get the chills like very often, right? I'm not like affected that way too much, and I put it in one of my American Horror Story videos, but there's a scene, and every time I watch it, I'm still like, that's crazy. He literally just told us the reason for this case. And I know that sounds crazy. But again, if you know how these people operate, if you know about their predictive programming, and if you know about their symbolism and their codes and their breadcrumbs and their Easter eggs, they put it in plain sight for us to see. But if you don't know, if you're not aware, if you don't know what you're to look for, the majority of people are going to have no idea. But and they don't know that it's literally right in their faces. They're not hiding it at all. But once you do know about it, it's very, very easy to spot for the most part. Because again, they're not hiding it. So in this scene in American Horror Story, one of the characters is talking, and I can play it on DLive. I can't play it on here because of the copyright. So, but just to give you an idea, one of the characters is talking at a table to another character, and I mean, tells us literally what one of the agendas for this case was. And then you have another one from a different season, same character, same actor. Same actor, different character, but he's standing in a courtroom, and he's because he's running for like Congress or something, right? It's in Cult, the season Cult. If I don't know, I've been an hour. I don't know if I'll be able to do one on DLive. I really wanted to, but when I do, if I don't do one tonight, I will play those clips because I'm still shocked that how accurate it is. Granted, you have to replace a couple words. You have to think outside the box. But when you replace those couple of words, like for instance, he mentions in a small town in Michigan, right? Why did I say it like that? In Michigan, in a small town in Michigan, you replace it with Frederick, right? So when you do that, it's literally spot on. And it's crazy that they literally they tell us that right to our faces. But in the other scene, he's in a courtroom, and he's talking to not Congress, but elected officials or whatever, state officials, and he's talking about how he's trying to convince them that if the government lets chaos, run rampant in our streets, so tell the other law enforcement, back off, let them duke it out, let them throw Molotov cocktails or whatever those are called in buildings, burn buildings down, burn police cars to the ground, damage and steal from Nike stores and Apple, whatever, everything that was going on a couple months ago, right? Because where was law enforcement, all of that? They were nowhere to be found. So they were letting chaos run rampant in our streets while all these small businesses were being destroyed, while people were being injured and killed in these riots, or I'm sorry, protests, right? And, the government official looks at the character that's trying to say, he's like, so what you're saying is that if we just let chaos run rampant in our streets, that they will essentially give us all the power to protect them? And he goes, haven't you seen what's going on in the world? I mean, he literally, they told us that all that stuff was going to happen with the riots, with the no police around, letting all this shit happen. Where was our protection? Where was the police and all of this rioting to stop it? When buildings were being torn down, and I still, when I see that, I've seen that clip so many times, I still get the goosebumps because they literally told us. They tell us what they're going to do. And I know that sounds crazy, especially if you're new here. But if you stick around long enough and hear me out, I'd be very surprised if you didn't have a different outlook on this case afterwards. somewhat. And I wanted to play those clips on here for a while now, but again, I can't do it. And I know that, my American Horror Story clips are, scattered out, but it may not have that much of a wow factor since they are, in different parts. But that's just because I just started making the videos as I kept watching the show, right? And not ever imagining that they were going to have connections in every single season, right? I'm like, there's no way that there's going to be more connections in the next season. And then there were more. And they just kept going and going. And then the cat's name was Bella. And then Shanann was born in 1984. That was one season. And it's just on and on and on. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I can't believe I've never seen so much planning that went into one. As far as like the breadcrumbs and the predictive programming goes and the Easter eggs, it's overwhelming. And it's right in our faces. But again, unless you know how these people operate and you know what to look for, and that's the thing. I don't like to say know what to look for because I don't want to make it seem like you have to look for it because you really don't. But you just have to be aware of it. And they'll pop out to you like a sore thumb. Heart of Lion, yeah, I do. And that's one reason why I don't show my face. Two, I'm obviously not a great presenter, as you can tell. But yeah, I do. I don't talk about that kind of stuff. I've had several strange things happen to me in this case. And I think it's probably a good thing in a sense that my channel is still small, because once you start to get bigger and the more people that know about it, the more harassed you're going to get, and the more crazy people. Now, like as far as my safety goes, as far as like the powers that be doing anything, no, I don't, because I'm not big enough. I'm not like a David Icke or I don't know, whatever. Name another one, but I'm not one of these big conspiracy truth exposers per se. So as far as that goes, no, I'm not worried about it, because they know that there's more than enough people, right? Yes, are they censoring us? Because I think that, in a way, the censorship is kind of a good thing, but obviously it's a terrible thing, because I think that they're starting to realize that more and more people are waking up, and there's more people exposing this corruption, right? And the lies. So now it's come down to free speech and censorship. And, trying to silence us, like, and organizations like the Honor Network. But they also know that there's so many more people that are not aware of what's going on, and that will never be. They'll, go the rest of their lives thinking that, again, in their bubble, that everything is, that the government's 100% there to protect us, that the mainstream media actually tells us real news. I think that unfortunately, there's always going to be the ones who are asleep are going to, outweigh the people that are awake. But that's why, but before I get to that, I don't think they're worried about it. Like, they're not going to go after the little fish or anything. So, I'm not trying to like expose Hillary Clinton and her trail of deaths that lead behind her, but or a big major journalist. So to answer your question, no, I'm not worried about that. But there are quite a few individuals out there that are freaking crazy. And that's why, for the most part, I won't I'm very careful about what I say in any social media. It doesn't have to be in Watts, chat rooms. Um, it can be anywhere. The Big Brother is always watching and collecting data. I put a video. I made a video about a big oil tycoon guy several months ago, talking at a conference about how they um, have a computer software program that can collect data, personal data on social media from their potential or already royalty owners and stakeholders in the oil business, right? And so they collect, their data in order to sway the opinions one way or another. So to either convince them that fracking is a good thing, or to convince them or whatever. So he's literally, I mean, he's talking in this conference, this um, big wig guy, right? Allegedly, like it's just any other thing. Sorry, I'm just like 2 minutes. The Swans guys here. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't think he was coming until next week. I'm like, shit. Um, Anything happened when I was gone? Nothing exciting. I might have to. Uh, Actually, I'm gonna have to leave you guys for a couple more minutes again when he brings the food back. But sorry about that. No, I don't remember what I was saying though. What was I talking about? I was on a good rant there. Hey, Mary Rose. Hey, Trey. Trey. Hey, True Crime Enthusiast. I don't know where I got my accent from. Hey, True. Oh, and Sandy, by the way, I know that you weren't emoji flipping me off yesterday, just so you know. I saw some of the chat. You're like, no, I was just pointing up. So, can anybody remind me what I was talking about? Oh, I think was it American Horror Story? No, I don't remember. I should probably end this anyways. It's an hour and a half, and I was only gonna come on here and tell you guys to come over to DLive, and of course that never happens. And I was gonna play the Days of Our Lives theme for you guys at the beginning of the stream, but I didn't want to get a copyright strike, so. And Mary Rose, like, that's something that I can talk about on DLive as far as your question goes about the 3 and 4-year-old thing. That's those kind of questions. It's very difficult for me to answer on here, or like, where's Shanann, and how is this possible, kind of thing. I'm just saying, but I wanted to address your question. And look, and again, I never came into this expecting people to just believe me and just go, oh, yep, she knows what she's talking about. Even though she sounds crazy, I 100% believe everything she's saying. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. And I mentioned this last night, but sometimes it takes like years for people to, or anybody to be able to see for themselves the things that I'm saying, or that I'm pointing out, or to make sense of it. It comes quicker for some than others, but it's not something that it's just one time and people get it, especially for those people that like don't even know what a PSYOP is. I've had several of my my subscribers say, I didn't even know what that was until I found your channel. So I don't expect at all for anybody to just 100% get what I'm saying. That would be crazy. But unless a person wants to, you have to want to learn or be, what am I trying to say? You have to want to find the truth yourself and this information, and take the time, to do it in order to make that happen, I guess, if that makes sense. And, all I ask is that people give me the benefit of the doubt, hear me out. No matter how crazy it sounds, anything is possible these days. And, with technology, with manipulation, with little tricks of the trade that they use. And there's so many of them in this case. Like Frank Rusek pointing fingers at Google and Twitter and Facebook, when it's all a tactic. It's all a part of the agenda or agendas. Okay, Red, thanks for coming. And yeah, Marios, to me, personally, the American Horror Story connections are, like you said, it's more than enough evidence, again, for me personally, to prove that. Well, I don't want to say, like, I hate saying prove because people get all pissy when you say that, but to show that there was at least foreknowledge that this event was going to happen, right? So, and that's what I've said several times, is regardless if you believe it might get a little loud because I just opened my window for my kitty. Regardless if you believe this case was orchestrated, or if you believe in the official narrative, all of the American Horror Story connections and the predictive programming shows, or I'm just going to say proves, that somebody or someone's had foreknowledge, right, that these murders were going to happen. And that should infuriate anybody just in itself. And there's so many that it would be, and they're too it matches the narrative too much, right? The connections, like, then you have maybe one, right? Okay, coincidence. Like, for instance, there's a connection where the couple is talking in the season Cult. They talk about the big B, bankruptcy, right? Of course, bankruptcy is very common. It happens to people and married people and individual people every single day, right? Totally get that. Common thing. Moving on. But then you have another one, and another one, and another one, another one. But then the scene right after the couple is talking about the bankruptcy, they're in their living room and they're arguing about, and of course you would have to read the discovery, right, to know, maybe not everything, because they did talk about some of it in the mainstream media, but this couple is arguing after they just got done talking about the bankruptcy, that he finds out that she's not paying the mortgage payments, right? And they're about to be evicted from her home, and she doesn't tell her husband that she wasn't paying the mortgage payments. Doesn't that sound familiar? And he goes, when were you going to tell me this? They're going to evict us. They're going to kick us out of our home. And that's, the Watts were on the brink of being evicted from their house because they were 3 months behind and the rest of their debt. So it's stuff like that where it's just too specific. And then add that to the plethora of other connections starting in season 1 in the very first episode to the very last. And I would be shocked, but not shocked if they had it in the next season. And if it's about aliens, then you heard it here first. Because I predicted that. I mean, yeah, there is speculation of alien, but keep an eye on Miss KK. Do but don't. So when you're finding connections, and not just any connections, like it's literally from, they told us the entire Watts narrative in American Horror Story through every season. And I only put in my videos ones that were the most obvious. Like, there were many others, but I didn't want people to think that I was stretching by all means. So there's many more than that. And there's ones that where, you have to dig a little bit deeper and look into it a little bit more. But again, I didn't want to put those ones in there. I wanted the viewers to have the direct, obvious connections, and just, that's it. And I felt like that should be enough anyways. I'll tell you, there's another one, and if you guys have not seen my American Horror Story videos, I highly recommend that you go watch it. Just because it's one of the biggest factors in this case. And again, it like Mary Rose said, it shows that there was foreknowledge of these murders. Because there's too many to be coincidental. Every single season of American Horror Story. And multiple in each season. So I'm watching American Horror. I've never seen it before, right? On Nate's camera, it piqued my interest when the fetus and the hourglass, and I'm like, but knowing, because I am aware of in the back of my mind, even though I wasn't searching for or thought that this case was orchestrated at the beginning, because I'm knowledgeable in what these people do in other events. I immediately, when I saw that trailer on Nate's TV, I was immediately suspicious by it. And that was just another one of those red flags and one of those like, that's weird. What are the odds? And I'm sure that miracles can happen or signs from the paranormal or whatever. I'm completely for that. But in this particular moment with the trailer, nothing like that. It was put there on purpose for us to see. And you can tell also by Chris's reaction when he says, "Oh, she's pregnant, by the way." Oh, you almost forgot your line there, did you, Christopher? It's stuff like that where it's like, okay, that seemed really weird and like completely scripted. But I wasn't like, 100% convinced just by watching that. So, of course, I did what they probably wanted people to do, more than likely, is to see that trailer, be intrigued by it, just as I was. And I'd always wanted to watch American Horror Story. I just never had time to sit down and watch it. So I said, well, hey, I might as well just, kill two birds with one stone. And no birds were harmed, by the way, in this live stream, just so you know. And so I started it at season 1 because I was going to start it at the Apocalypse season, but I didn't want to go into like, the middle of a season or the middle of a anthology and be all confused. But I didn't realize at the time that every season, for the most part, has a different storyline and sometimes they have the same characters, but the storyline is always different in each season. So it didn't matter if I watched season 7 or 2 or whatever, but it was good that I watched it from the beginning. So season 1, I just started watching it. First episode, I immediately started seeing these connections. And then the biggest, I was already like pretty much 99% convinced at that point, right? When I started seeing all these connections and the body cam being released, the discovery, nothing adding up, more and more and more. But I think it's I should know this, season Asylum, I think it's 2, or was that Freak Show? I don't know. Forrest, if you're still here, help me out. But in the season of Asylum, after already seeing all the other connections or noticing them, and I still laugh about this because I can't believe, and if you guys see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'll play that as well, that one, on DLive when I stream. But I can't believe they put this in here. But there's the season Asylum that takes place obviously in like a psych ward, right? And there's an evil, corrupt doctor, this German doctor who performs experiments and stuff on the patients there, and just really shitty guy, right? And so there's a woman who's admitted into the asylum, and she's claiming that she is Anne Frank. And I don't know if they ever told us, like, and so sorry, spoiler alerts or anything. I'll try not to, but it's no big deal. So she comes into the asylum claiming that she's Anne Frank. Well, they end up, he was going to look over her medical whatever, do the whole physical whatever. So she's in this room, and he comes in, and she immediately gets freaked out, and she's like, I know you. She goes, you're that doctor from Auschwitz, right? Germany, at the concentration camps. Anne Frank concentration. So, and she goes, are you gonna do what you did to me to those girls at Auschwitz? And I laugh every time because again, it's so ridiculous. And I'll tell you why. So she goes, "Are you going to do to me what you did to those girls in Auschwitz?" And he goes, and he looks at her with a straight face and goes, "I'm not from Auschwitz. I'm from Scottsdale." I almost spit my drink out because I was taking a sip of my drink at that very moment. And I was like, and just the way he says it, and it's so cheesy and it's so ridiculous because if you're from Arizona, like I am, that's where, obviously Scottsdale. So, one, you have Shanann that went to Scottsdale. She flew into obviously Phoenix, Arizona for her Thrive convention, but she went to Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where the actual convention was. Are you going to do to me what you... No, I'm from Scottsdale. And what makes it so ridiculous, you guys, there's no other Scottsdale in the world. Okay, sorry. Oh, so there's no other Scottsdale, right? In the world. No other city, no province, state, whatever. In the world except for Arizona. And at that that moment, like I said, I was already 99% convinced. But when I heard that and how ridiculous it was, and again, the fact that I'm, live in Arizona, I'm from Arizona, and there's I can understand if it was like some common city, right? But I just can't believe they put that in there, and it's so ridiculous. Like, why would this German? And if you're not familiar with Scottsdale, the city here, it's a very rich city, and there's it's uh, like the snooty area, right? One of the more snootier areas or cities in Arizona, right? So here you have this German doctor. Like, so if you got to picture like the and I know, I'm sorry, I'm getting all like way off of course. I'm almost done, I promise, and then I'll end it. The season of Asylum, it takes place like, back in the day, right? And this it's supposed to be this German guy, a doctor that was from Auschwitz, right? So way back in the day, saying that he's not from Auschwitz, he's from Scottsdale. Why would this German corrupt performs you know experiments on his patients in this insane asylum in this scene, right, or in this whole narrative of the show, say that he's from Scottsdale? I mean, again, if you're from here, it's so ridiculous. It's like they threw it in there just to like say, fuck it, we're just gonna throw it in there. So what's the odds? And that's one of those connections in American Horror Story where there's no possible way that that's a coincidence. And add it to all of the other connections in the case, which makes it zero coincidental. And just the way he says it, I'm from Scottsdale. It's so ridiculous, you guys. It's just so I can't believe they did that. But so that, like I said, that there's no other place in the world. It's a snooty, for one, rich city in Arizona, multi-million-dollar homes. And this doctor is trying to, in this scene in this show, is trying to convince the character who believes she's Anne Frank, that he's from Scottsdale. He doesn't say like Scottsdale, Arizona, but he says Scottsdale. And obviously I followed the case. I knew that Shanann flew into Scottsdale, and that's when I was 100% convinced that it was orchestrated. But it's stuff like that where it's just so obvious and in your face, but unless you're aware of it, unless you're aware of the predictive programming or how they use this symbolism and put it in your face, in our face, the majority of people will have no idea. And then that's just one, or the two that I mentioned, that's just a couple of the many. And there's some that I didn't even put in to the videos that I put in like my community section, because I just kept, as I went along, I'm like, oh, there's another one and another one and another one. Like they just kept coming. they don't stop. So, and I didn't mean to get into like American Horror Story there, but again, it is one of the biggest red flags, if not the biggest in this case. And I know that it's not proof. There's no scientific proof that predictive programming is real. But again, you have to follow the patterns. It's all in their pattern. They use the same patterns, the same all these same characteristics and tactics to pull off these events, right? And as long as they keep working, they're not gonna, in my opinion, they're not gonna switch it up anytime soon. Because why would you if it's working perfectly fine? And I'll tell you one more before I go. That's super, like, it's ridiculous. There's so many, but season 8, 1984. Wink, wink. Shanann was born in 1984, January 10th. Go figure. And then not only that, you have all this talk of, or the Orwellian nightmare, or not George Orwell. It's 1984, about how they're following that, and that what he wrote in the book is coming true. Nobody put any spoilers in the chat because I haven't read it yet. Please, but maybe I don't have to read it because apparently it's all unfolding in the last couple of years. But 1984 was season. It was the last season, so it was 8, 9. And so I remember thinking to myself, I was like, they've pretty much used almost all the names in this case, because there's a lot of name similarities. You got Troy, you got Chad, you got I'm not even gonna name them all right now, but the only one that wasn't in there was Nicole Kessinger, Nicole. And she seems to have like pretty much immunity from any of these documentaries, even the predictive programming. So I don't know, she must have made that deal with them. I don't know. But so besides her name, there's almost everybody, like the main I don't want to say that. Well, yeah, characters in this case, right, were mentioned in American Horror Story. And I said to myself before season 8 started in 1984, I said, though I think the only one that they haven't mentioned is Bella. So here I am. I'm watching 1984, right? Just started. There's a mechanic. The scene opens and there's a mechanic working on a car. And of course, it's like scary, so they have to scare you, right? And freak you out. All of a sudden, across the screen, there's a cat that darts by. He goes, meow. And he goes, God damn it, Bella, you scared the hell out of me. Again, almost spit my drink out. As I literally just got done saying that the only person that they have not named, pretty much, I mean, obviously there's a lot of names in this case, but your main people, was Bella. And that was one of those too. I'm like, they didn't. They named the cat Bella. It was like they were just trying to throw them in there at the last minute, right? Like, here, we'll just throw that one in there and then we'll just knock it out. We'll just knock all the characters out. And I know that people are going to say, Megan, Bella is a very common name. I have a cat named Bella, which someone did tell me that. And I get that. But you have to add all the other connections in. The overwhelming amount of connections, add it to that one that is common, and it makes them not a coincidence anymore. But I'm not kidding. Bella. God damn it, Bella, you scared the hell out of me. And before that, in the season of Colt, Cece, Celeste. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. And on that note, I'm signing off. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm still going to do the D Live, and I will go live on here first, like I was going to do today, or I did, but actually say, hey, I'm going over to D Live. If you want to hear me talk more about my theory, then head on over there, and then that's what I'm going to do. And I want to. I've tried streaming on both platforms, but at the same time, like multi-streaming. But for some reason, when I use Restream, my mic that I have, it cuts in and out, or it freezes up on me. It's something with Restream because I don't have any problems with my mic when I use StreamYard or the other streaming service that I use for DLive. So, but even then, even if it did, I wouldn't be able to, again, say as much as I want to on here that I can over there. So, of course, completely up to you guys. I know that it's a pain in the ass to sign up and go to another platform, especially when you're used to this one or certain ones. And I'm not going to take any offense to it if you don't. So don't feel obligated by all means. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And ask questions, please. Thanks, guys.